Terrorists in the Gaza Strip have fired 500 plus rockets into Israel. You got to see the technology that Israel uses to knock the missiles down. Let's talk about the war that seems to be starting in Israel. Over the past several days, Palestinian terrorists in Gaza have fired over 500 rockets into Israel. It's in apparent retaliation for the IDF, the Israeli army, killing several of the head guys, get this, that are in charge of launching rockets into Israel. So they tracked down the perpetrators of the crime. They killed 3 of them. And what happens? That's cause for war from the Palestinian side because you killed our rocket people, so we're going to launch every rocket we've got.
Okay, so let's get this straight. The people that's trying to kill us, we kill them. Now you want to kill all of us.
Very well put. Now,
so you're allowed to kill us, but we can't kill you.
Exactly right. So I want to show people maybe the most amazing military technology on earth. It's the Iron Dome. It's what Israel calls its anti-missile missile system. In other words, a rocket gets launched out of Gaza. It takes about 45 seconds to go from the launch site to hit the closest village in southern Israel. It's called Sderot. I've been there a number of times. Every building in Sderot is riddled with rocket holes in the buildings. Every bus stop is a bomb shelter. Every building by law must have a bomb shelter under it. Everybody must be within 45 seconds of a bomb shelter 24/7. Boy, you talk about stress on the people. This is PTSD on steroids.
Mm-hmm.
Men, women, children, grandmas, schools, nursery schools. Everybody knows somebody that's been hit by a rocket. I want to show you what Israel invented. This is dramatic footage. I just pulled it out of Israel last night. This shows rocket intercepts on the Gaza border. Check this movie out. Now, let me explain, because I met the inventor of this. It's the most extraordinary technology in the world. The rockets are about this big that are coming in from Gaza. They make them for $60 or $80 in garages and melting down parts of cars and pack them with explosive and ball bearings and nails. And they launch them out of these homemade launchers. They're basically fire and forget rockets. They just point them in the general direction of housing and off they go. They've launched over 500 of these this week. Israel invented this technology that sees the rocket coming in within a microsecond. It decides based on the trajectory that the computer figures out where it might be landing. In other words, if it's headed towards a field, they let it go. If it's headed towards Gaza, meaning it won't make it across the border, they let it go. If it looks like it's heading towards a school, a factory, a bus stop, housing, an apartment building, they send up an interceptor. But their interceptors cost tens of thousands of dollars. So I think, and this is no secret, the Palestinian terrorists say, we're going to bleed Israel dry. They're spending $50,000 to knock down a $50 rocket. And it's true. But Israel places that much value on its citizenry. But what you saw was the rocket coming up and then the Iron Dome chasing it and exploding. And if you think about it, the head of a rocket is this big. The Iron Dome has to be within a few feet of it when it detonates to blow the rocket up. How the technology works, nobody knows. The whole world wants to buy it. It's very, very sought after technology, and it's highly effective. Here's the wild part. The UN is meeting right now. The UN has condemned Israel, just Israel, for targeting the guys shooting the rockets. Not a word about 500 rockets sent to schools, businesses, factories, bus stops, apartment buildings, housing tracts, and so on. Well, I don't get it. Does the UN have any value except to be a mob condemning the good guys and protecting the bad guys at this point?
You know what, Barry? I think the UN have shown their true colors. They really have. They've shown their true colors. I don't know anyone unless they have this leftist ideology that even trusts the United Nations. And you know what, Barry? We're talking about the story, and I saw some of those video clips where they're showing how the Iron Dome is taking out these rockets that's coming towards Israel. And one of them, there's two things here. One of them, the video I was watching, you could hear a lady in the background. She's kind of crying because all these rockets are coming at them. And I can hear another Israeli guy kind of laughing because the Iron Dome is working. He's like, I mean, it's not funny, but it's funny, right? Because they keep trying, but the Iron Dome keeps knocking them out. The United Nations, they want Israel gone as well because the United Nations, they are part of this one world order. That's what the United Nations is all about. They believe that they have to get rid of Israel because it's going against their ideology. That's the reason why they want to crush it. They can't stand it. And another thing, Barry, how long will this bombardment of rockets go into Israel before Joe Biden says anything? Remember the last time it was 13 days. I don't think Israel should wait. I'm be honest with you. This is the only frustration that I have with Israel. Stop playing around with them. Go ahead and put your foot down and be through with it. Allow the United Nations, allow the world to cry about it after the fact, because they're not doing anything. They're not saying anything to stop this from happening. Put your foot down, or at least, if nothing else, Israel go look. This is the last time. The very next time, we're going to take this as a straight up act of war, and we're going to squash the problem. So now it's up to you, UN, to prevent this.
Let me ask you a question. You live in Texas, right? Let's say you and your bride and your kids are hanging out at home. Out of the blue, a Katyusha, it's like this big. It's a rocket. It's a flying bomb, okay? It's filled with explosives, nails, ball bearings, anything that can turn into shrapnel to shred the body.
Shrapnel, yep.
Right, it's shrapnel, just like a grenade, but it's a monster grenade on the tip of a rocket. If it hit your roof, and God forbid it happened, but you weren't home, nobody got hurt, would you demand that the United States military find out where it came from and turn the perpetrators into dust? Well, and if it was coming over the border from say some village in Mexico, you would demand, unless I don't know you, but I do know you, wipe those people out. Don't go to the UN. Don't petition. Go get those people and eliminate them before they blow up the people across the street.
Yeah. Well, the problem, Barry, and you're right. The problem that we're seeing is that the Israeli nation, they are actually going to the law authorities and saying, hey, we're reporting this. Can you stop this? And the law authorities they go, okay, I see your report here. We're going to look into this. What? That's what's happening.
I know.
That's what's happening. So I'm exactly right. If you're not going to do your job, it leaves it up to me. And you bring up Texas. Right now, Texas, today, the 11th, our border is going to be bombarded with millions of people, possibly millions of people. The federal government is not doing anything, the same thing to stop it, to prevent this. So it's up to the local government to do their part to prevent this. Israel, you've got to put your foot down and be through with it. Stop playing around with them, because you're going to end up to a point to where they're going to start killing Israelis. How long are you going to go before you finally say enough is enough?
You know, one of the gentlemen that I'm looking at the comments that are pouring in, Paul Humphus says the UN is part of the New World Order, one world government. He's right. And they don't give two you-know-whats about Israel or the people being shredded by the shrapnel or the cars being blown up. You know what I mean? They've got a different agenda, Will Johnson. Not that they
100%.
care about the... I'm sorry?
I was just saying 100%. There's a different agenda. They want to, they are the United Nations. And I know we don't ever really get into too much details about it, but the United Nations is, they are setting up this world for the Antichrist. And in the Bible, it talks about how the Antichrist is going to come down on Israel. It's no coincidence, Barry, that Israel is the center of the earth. There's no coincidence. If they don't want the Bible to be real, then leave Israel alone. Leave it alone. If if they don't want to believe what the Bible is telling us, prove us wrong, leave Israel alone. But they can't do that.
I'm not going to get too much into the politics of this, but President Trump, bless his heart, when he was in the White House, said, I'm going to cut back the funding to this kangaroo organization, the UN, where mob rule runs the place, where a country the size of a gnat on the back of an elephant's butt gets the same vote as the United States, right? So what happens is these goofball countries all line up and go, yeah, let's have a hearing and let's talk about these missiles and whatever. And the Security Council, that's supposed to be able to manage emergencies, they don't do squat.
No.
Period.
Nothing.
Zero. Meanwhile, I've got family there dodging missiles in bunkers underground, hoping to God that, and I mean they're praying like maniacs, that one of those Katyushas doesn't get through the Iron Dome. Will, they shot missiles into the most populous city in Israel yesterday, Tel Aviv. They're not fooling around. They're trying to commit mass genocide.
Yeah.
And the UN condemned Israel today again. I mean,
it's upside down world, Barry. It is literally the upside down world that we live in.
It's I don't want to use the words that'll get us banned, but it's something upped, and it starts with F. It's a crazy world.